Welcome, everyone. It is August the 2nd, 2024, 8 10 p.m. And I'm making this video today related to targeted abuse and how they use your five senses to destroy you. And this is just a very small part in the whole program. So let's talk about hearing. One of the major things that organized crime and gang stalkers do to harm their victim and keep them on high end alert. In the stages of trauma and abuse, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, and they like to use honking. And they'll stop for a little while, maybe. I pretty much get honked at every day, and it's like they seemingly know. And there's other parts to this that need to be revealed, and probably in lots of ways already are, of how the victim is being watched. But I'm kind of going off of the point here, with the senses. The honking is just almost nonstop sometimes, because it's from more than one person, because this is being spread around like wildfire. You are the subject, and everyone gets hold of this information and they all jump on the bandwagon. So it's pretty much nonstop. It seems like they kind of know exactly when you're setting up. Like, if I'm setting up to do some brain spotting music and I'm going to sit and catch some sun and just relax, that's when they'll usually hit it up. Or it's when I can't record it to get the sound, to get the video, which is also very effective if you are a victim and you're looking for a way to fight your criminals. Um, One of the things that is, once this gets underway and they know that you're onto them and they know that you're smart, they just have fun with how smart you are, like to see what you notice and what you don't, how attuned you are to detail. And you're almost like your own personal FBI agent, which is, no offense. Obviously, we saw what happened. No offense. We are actually better for that job. Anyways, so there's a door in my basement, and I noticed how things close. Well, this is what's interesting. One of my doors, that opens down in my basement, they actually took it off and replaced it with one of my extra doors that was in the closet, because they don't align to close correctly now, and I've noticed that. And then my other door, they mismatch those, so they don't close exactly correctly either. So when I close them, and the way that I know that this is being done as abuse is because there's another door upstairs that's doing the same thing. It's just a different issue with a spring. But it's very, you know, even even in my old household, we didn't damage things quite as much. We didn't need to replace light bulbs quite as much, or batteries, or and those get stolen too. But anyways, so this is the stuff that's happening. So I'm going to move on to sight. So one of the ways that they harm you is through bandwagon techniques, and they use others to do this too, because they get everybody. It's a cult program. So whether or not the person is a good person or not is almost irrelevant to the victim's mentality, because the victim is harmed so greatly and deeply by everyone, friends, family members, everybody. Because people react and people do things and they wear things. And one of the ways that I'm being hit is by color targeting. Yes, I know. So what happens is, because they use the neural monitoring, which means that they can pick up what your brain is actually thinking, which means that they steal your data, which means that they can use your data free, and you sit there poor as hell while they're making money off of you. Anyways, another day for that. Um, so what people will do is they will bully and stalk, and they will harass you with color coding. So to me, this is really interesting. One of the things that happened to me was I started thinking of, like, okay, China's doing this. China is doing all of this. It's China. And I know that it's not. It's not. necessarily China. But so I equated China with yellow. So if anybody was wearing yellow, because I had to make safe colors for myself, because the way that my targeting was happening was people were wearing red and black checks. And now it's just or red and black plaid. And so now it's just blocks. So everywhere I see blocks, even my pillows in my house have blocks on them, or like mail that I'll get, or even my paper plates that I'm using to eat my food off of are designed in blocks. So now I am triggered not just by the color, but by the pattern as well because of the way that this game works. Now, whether they're putting that into my mind, whether they're using manipulation technique, and we'll talk about that later, I don't know. But so anyway, so you'll see random people wearing the same plaid, and they might have just went to the store and picked out that plaid shirt, and now all of a sudden we're making uh, mountains out of molehills over the way that the really bad three-digit organizations are using to harm us. We're making it monstrous, and it's because the monster is big. Like this whole program, I shouldn't laugh, is way worse than I could have ever fathomed. Like just finding it out was one thing, but finding out how bad this is another. Um, and another time for that. So let me explain to you about the plaid. So the plaid had died down some, and usually I'll try to pick a color. Like I'll be like, okay, the healthy color today is pink. So anybody I see wearing pink, they are the safe people. I'm sorry, there was a little glitch in my screen, so it seems like the timer's still going, but I hope we don't lose our video. So let's say I made pink the safe color. Well, then people all start showing up in pink, but it's cognitive dissonance, which means I still don't know whether that person is safe or not. Because when orange was the really dangerous color, like don't say anything, don't talk about this, keep it hush hush, don't get any help, don't do this. Orange was the bomb, right? It was like, danger. It was a caution. It was like when a storm is coming, don't, take cover, and then what had happened was pink became orange to me because I had to kind of debrief myself from the situation, if you will. So, but then I started realizing that it seemed like perpetrators were wearing the pink. So this became a really ugly situation, as you can see. You can't blame a victim or even somebody who is out wearing a plaid shirt because you see how insidiously gross, how deceptive this program is so far. So also by sight, you can tell damage. And other people have complained about this too. My tiles, one thing that I always cared about was keeping a nice, clean, well kept home, taking care of my belongings. That was one thing that just by thought, taking care of my belongings was really important to me. So damage, all the floor tiles just broken up, chipped up in the basement, just out of nowhere, just out of random, but just odd the way that they're lined up, the way that they're broken, right where the doors are, right where this is. You just can tell that something's going on there. And it was also at the times whenever I had discovered I was having break-ins. So, and then I've heard that they have some equipment to do that. So I'm not even sure if I should replace my locks or not. Also, other property and goods that you have, carpeting, all that stuff just keeps getting damaged. Things are left dirty. Some things are stolen and then they're replaced. Some things are stolen and never replaced. Things like ice packs. I mean, it gets expensive to keep buying stuff. I know it might sound petty or trivial, but um, theft is theft. It's a crime, or at least once I knew it was. I knew it to be. Um, so, like ballpoint pens, I get it, but it adds up over time where you're all of a sudden in debt because they're damaging everything and you just keep buying it. And then the thing is, when you're moving so quickly and you're trying to work and you're trying to juggle this and you're trying to do that, you don't stop to really think about what's happening. And once I had really sat back and I started noticing everything that was being damaged, everything I was having to replace, all the money that it was taking to do that, you see what a big, big problem this is. Um, so there's that. And then I'm not sure, I've been told that prostitutes come and use things like makeup. I've even found shards of hard plastic in my lipstick tubes, stuff like that. It's just too numerous to list here today. Um, Sometimes it's just uh, things are, just a different layout. Things are moved around. Maybe just things in your house partially used and set out. It seems like they'll deliberately dirty things in the house, like leave crumbs on the floor or leave. I realize I have kids, guys, okay, and I see what my kids do when they are home. I can see, I'm a cookie eater, so I drop crumbs, but there is a big difference whenever your house is left unattended, even for a day. So let's go on to smell and taste. I kind of grouped these together because I was drawing a blank, even though there's so much that happens, but most of it is through the other senses. Foods can sometimes taste poison, especially depending on the package size that you purchase. Let's say you purchase coffee and you're purchasing quite a large amount and it's in an open can. Well, I mean, if somebody has ideas, and let me tell you, I have lived to be 46 so far, and I've been targeted since about 2017. It's 2024 now, um, so or at least it's knowingly targeted since then. But I could never think, hmm, I wonder if I should put a scoop of kitty litter in the coffee grounds or whatever it may be, whatever stuff it is. I never have I ever had that thought. Um, but it wasn't until I smelled the coffee maker downstairs that was on with nothing in it. I thought it was going to cause a fire. Oh, excuse me. Um, just the smells of different things that smell like weed killer or something down in the basement or stuff like that. Spoiled foods, especially if I pick up my food or have it delivered, people are picking it for me. And I realize I have a choice there. Um, but those people also have a choice and they have a job to do. And I appreciate that service very much. But sometimes those things are, you don't know whether they're doing it consciously or not. Another thing by touch would be that they could set you up into a deliberate trap. I have been in situations which is kind of like a street theater situation, if you will, um, where you could almost be in a car accident and it looks like it was perpetrated. Like it looks like the people were deliberately trying to cross at intersections. And I've had this happen more than once at the same time on purpose. And if it doesn't hurt you physically, it just compounds the problem, leaving you more traumatized and abused. Anything that could harm you in any way, um, using your sense of touch. I mean, um, I think there's just so many examples. We just can't fit it all into this video. Some of the things that are stolen goods and damage falls under sight as well as touch, but also they could appear. I think I've mentioned this before. Maybe they're stained or ripped, like if they're garments. I've had things destroyed, like I've had my favorite swimsuits, and it's really hard for me to pick out a swimsuit, guys. I'm a 46-year-old mom of 4 kids. Okay, it's hard, and I'm physically fit, but it's difficult. So, I know how this can sound, but and I've come a long way. I mean, I was pretty badly emotionally and psychologically abused by this program. But I've literally found ways to help that, like re-dyeing my clothes. I've literally had to dye a swimsuit purple again. Just used a cheap dye from the store and had a fun project. So, but they do this stuff, and it's very annoying. It's very agitating because you have to spend extra money, you have to spend extra time. And those are the things that I don't want to do with my time. And they shouldn't be happening just so somebody else can have a laugh at basically destroying your life. I think that they've even swapped clothing before. They'll sew pockets shut that shouldn't be like in a jacket. They, I think that they've even swapped things so that the sizing is off and altered them. Excuse me. Putting stitching where it wasn't before, or removing it, and maybe just had replaced goods just in general. Overall, it's just so crazy the way that this plays out, and they make it very hard to report. Um, it's just something that you have to keep a very good record of yourself, and hope for the best and trying to um, sort it all out in the end. So I hope this helps. I was hoping I would do this in 5 minutes, and there's a lot more to cover than that. But thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to making the next one. I hope you guys come back and join us for more.